Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys versus Arizona Cardinals Week 3 matchup based on analytics. And of course, if you're new to the show, each week I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performances. And yes, it's only been 2 weeks, and yes, it's not the biggest sample size ever. However, there will always be little nuggets of information in every sample of data that you see. And then it's just a matter of seeing if those little nuggets of data become bigger nuggets of data in terms of offensive tendencies, defensive tendencies, etc., based on the data. And if you are new to this channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So if you're not familiar with any of the things I'm talking about in today's show, just go to the description and all the information will be there for you to see. So, starting with this matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. So, when you look at the NFL stat basic comparisons between the Cowboys and the Cardinals, most of the data favors the Cowboys. Again, spoiler alert. The Cowboys are favored in this game. But let's get into why that is. So, when you look at the total D score, which is basically the amount of first downs that the defense gives up, the Cowboys defense is just not performing that well. That's one thing I want to say is the Cardinals offense has not been playing well, but the Cardinals defense has at least been putting up an effort, if you will. And I think that that's going to be an interesting sort of matchup to see in this game and see how it develops because of that sort of issue. Whereas the Cowboys offense has been performing better than the Cardinals offense, but they've both been kind of below average in terms of this particular thing. So this is one of the times where the Cardinals actually have somewhat of an advantage when it comes to getting first downs and preventing first downs overall when it comes to their offense and defense. But again, it's only based on 2 weeks of data, but that's the only sort of advantage that the Cardinals have. When it comes to everything else, the Cardinals are just not good. And when it comes to turnovers on offense, the Cardinals are one of the worst teams in the NFL when it comes to turnovers on offense. When it comes to sack percentage, the Cardinals are worse compared to the rest of the NFL when it comes to allowing sacks on offense. When it comes to putting up points, the Cowboys have been significantly better when it comes to their offensive score percentage, which is basically the percentage of times that that offensive drive leads to a score, and the Cowboys have been better than the Cardinals when it comes to that particular area. On defense, the Cowboys have been a little bit better in terms of preventing points on defense, preventing scores from happening on defense, whereas the Cardinals have been kind of average when it comes to that particular area. When it comes to defensive turnovers, the Cowboys have been better. When it comes to sacks, the Cowboys have been better. When it comes to interceptions, the Cowboys have been better. So for the most part, the Cardinals defense has, even though they haven't been very even though the Cowboys defense, even though the Cowboys defense has not been performing very well when it comes to preventing first downs, they have been able to get turnovers, they have been able to get more sacks, and they have been able to get more interceptions and prevent points from happening. So from that kind of perspective, that's why the Cowboys, despite the issues in terms of allowing first downs, they've still been able to perform well as a defense, is because they've been doing well in terms of everything else, all the other sort of factors. When we get to special teams data, the Cowboys are favored here pretty much as for the most part. The Cowboys, in terms of punt return yardage, above average. They're better against the Cardinals when it comes to kick return yardage, although they're kind of they're not the best in the NFL, but they are at least better than the Cardinals in this particular matchup. And in terms of defense, the Cowboys' defense in terms of special teams is better in terms of preventing punt return yardage, and also better in terms of preventing kick return yardage. So for the most part, in terms of special teams, the Cowboys are favored over the Cardinals in terms of special teams overall. Field goal percentage also favors the Cowboys. Extra point percentage also favors the Cowboys. But punting favors the Cardinals. But for the most part, all the sort of important special team statistics, field goals, extra points, kick return yardage, punt return yardage, and preventing kick return yardage and preventing kick return and punt return yardage. The Cowboys kind of favor in terms of that particular matchup. So based on all the basic NFL information, the Cowboys just have this matchup because their offense has been able to put up more points, their defense has been able to put up more points, and on top of the Cowboys just have better all-around special teams compared to the Cardinals. So when we get to other sort of matchups, so in terms of completion percentage, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys offense versus the Arizona Cardinals defense when it comes to completion percentage, the Cowboys have the advantage when it comes to second down and third down, but not first down. And on top of that, they only have a slight advantage when it comes to second down and third down completion percentage. So this is definitely a matchup to kind of watch and see what happens. I mean, not going to lie, the Cowboys have not been the best when it comes to first down completion percentage, or just completion percentage in general. Dak Prescott is just not, and the whole offense in general has just not been performing very well when it comes to completion percentage. Some of that has to do with the fact that they played a really, really tough Denver defense in terms of pass defense last week. But, we'll see what happens in this week. And then, of course, when you look at the Arizona Cardinals offense versus the Dallas Cowboys defense in terms of split performance, the Cowboys defense is favored in terms of first down situations, but the Cardinals win when it comes to second down situations and third down situations. The Cowboys defense has been one of the worst teams in the NFL when it comes to preventing second down completions and third down completions, and I think that will allow the Cardinals to at least be able to move the football pretty well in this game, surprisingly well, because of this sort of issue overall. So for the most part, the Cardinals it favors the Cardinals a bit when it comes to completion percentage. And then when you get to rushing the football, a lot of this is heavily skewed because of how poor the Cowboys did last week, but they still performed well enough to kind of show some things here and there. So when you look at the Cowboys offense versus the Cardinals defense when it comes to getting first downs with the rush, it favors the Cardinals in terms of everything except for third downs. And again, this is heavily influenced by what the Cowboys did last week against the Broncos. Like, that's how bad that performance was in terms of their rushing offense. So I think this is something that's going to bounce back a bit. But at least over the last 2 weeks, this is how the matchups kind of happen. The Cowboys are just not, again, based on what's happened in the last 2 weeks, the Cowboys rushing offense is just not performing the way it needs to compared to how the Cardinals defense has performed against the rush. I think this definitely will change this week because the Cowboys are not playing the Broncos, but this is just something to keep in mind that that's how bad they played against the Broncos in terms of their rushing offense. And then when we get to the Cardinals offense versus the Cowboys defense in terms of running the football, the Cowboys have an advantage when it comes to first down situations, second down situations, and it's about even when it comes to third down situations. I kind of give this to the Cardinals because of how, not the Cardinals, but the Cowboys, because of how well they have played, run defense for the most part, except for second down and third down. And that's the biggest thing. The Cowboys have been able to play pretty well in terms of preventing the run in first down situations, but second down and third down is where they're lagging the most. So this kind of favors the Cowboys. I'll give this to the Cowboys, but this is just one sort of situation to keep an eye on because if they can improve second down and third down situations, I think they'll improve tremendously in terms of as a run defense. Then when we get to passing situations, so this is the Cowboys versus the Cardinals defense when it comes to making first down completions, first down conversions on first down, second down, and third down. Overwhelmingly, the Cardinals defense is favored in this particular category. Just kind of showing, how poorly the Cowboys offense played against the I mean, a lot of this is because of how poorly they played against the Denver Broncos. And also, they didn't play the best in terms of the Giants either. But for the most part, when you look at this, it favors the Cardinals. The Cardinals defense, especially when it comes to second down situations, just much better in terms of preventing first down conversion rates overall. This doesn't mean that it's going to be. This doesn't mean the Cardinals are going to blow them out per se. In terms of not blow them out, but just perform really well against the pass because it's very slight advantages for the Cardinals in terms of first down and third down situations. But it is something where the Cowboys just have to improve. If the Cowboys are going to get back to the playoffs or go to a Super Bowl, they have to improve their passing offense. They have to get back to being very efficient, and they have to get back to getting first downs with the pass, especially in terms of first down situations, third down situations, and of course second down situations. So this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup to see what happens, because the Cardinals are favored in this matchup based on how they performed in the last 2 weeks. And then the final matchup, which of course is the Arizona Cardinals offense versus the Dallas Cowboys defense. The Arizona Cardinals offense only wins when it comes to third down situations, whereas the Cowboys defense wins in terms of first and second down situations. So that's a big thing to kind of keep track of in terms of this particular matchup. The Cowboys just have issues in terms of third down situations, but they have been doing pretty well in terms of first down situations and second down situations. And when you look at at these sort of situations, that's kind of sort of the issue. However, one big thing to point out with this matchup is third and long situations. The Cowboys just have to get better in terms of third and long situations. When you look at the Cardinals in terms of 3rd and 7 and 9 and 3rd and 10 even, the Cowboys have just not done very well in terms of preventing first downs against the pass in third and long situations, and that has to change. If you're going to put your opponent in third and long situations, you have to, you can't allow them to get a first down. Like it defeats the purpose of putting them into third and long. So for the most part, that is definitely something that has to improve. They have to get better in terms of third and long situations, and if they do, then I think they'll do well in the situation. But it further underscores the issue that even though the Cowboys defense may do very well in terms of preventing them on first down and preventing them on second down, the Cardinals could still convert on third and long situations because of how poorly the Cowboys have been playing in those situations. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. The importance of third down situations, which the Cowboys have failed to do. At least 2 weeks into the season. So overall, how do I feel about this matchup? Well, I think the Cowboys bounced back this week. Again, very tough matchup. The matchup was so bad that it just kind of underscores how bad, or not how bad, but just how poorly the Cowboys kind of tracked over the last 2 weeks. So that Cowboys, that Denver loss really affected the Cowboys' data overall. But I think this is a bounce back week. I think they're going to go in here. The special teams are going to play a lot better. Not special teams, but I think the special teams will also be a factor in this game overall. And I think that the defense will, still have sort of issues, but I think the offense will find its voice again. But the bottom line is when it comes to the Cowboys and this particular matchup, I think that this is the time when Dak Prescott has to improve as a passer. And the rushing offense has to not be exposed like it was last week. So, these are sort of important things to say. But again, I think this is a Cowboys victory overall. I think they bounce back. But this just kind of shows some of the issues that they have on defense. This Cowboys defense is still not that dominant. And until they get dominant, until this offense, gets back to what it needs to do, there's still going to be, some issues and things that are going to prevent this team from performing really well in like the Super Bowl and, playoffs, etc. So until they fix these issues, I think it's really going to hinder their ability to go to the playoffs and also go far in the playoffs overall in terms of the Cowboys. Whereas the Cardinals are just kind of having a down year this year in terms of their overall sort of stuff. Of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.